I never thought I'd witness my own wedding from a hospital window, but fate has a cruel sense of humor. As I stood there, my restored vision hidden from the world, I watched the woman I loved marry another man. This is the story of how Ian Anderson went from being a devoted fiancé to a man planning his own tragic exit. It all began 3 months ago when Cully Sullivan, my girlfriend and the heiress to a vast fortune, was involved in a car accident. In a desperate attempt to save her, I sacrificed my eyesight. Little did I know this act of love would unveil a web of lies that had been woven around me for years. As I lay in the hospital, supposedly blind, Cully showered me with expensive gifts. One day she brought me a watch worth millions. However, I overheard her childhood sweetheart Gabriel Thompson swapping it for a fake. He's blind anyway, Gabriel whispered to Cully. What's the difference between real and fake to him? To my shock, Cully, who had always professed her undying love for me, didn't object. She even put the counterfeit watch on my wrist, assuring me, don't worry, I'll never leave you. We'll get married next month on the 15th. I've invited the media to witness our happiness. I smiled silently. What Cully didn't know was that I had regained my sight through a mysterious power I possessed. I had also set in motion a plan to leave this world. On our wedding day, instead of a groom, she would find my lifeless body. The nurse who had witnessed everything tried to comfort me. Mr. Anderson, you are so lucky to have such a loving wife. If only she knew the truth. Everyone believed that Cully Sullivan was madly in love with me. She, a wealthy heiress, had publicly pursued me for 7 years before I finally gave in. Our love story was the talk of the town, inspiring envy in many. I remembered a time when I had slept through her calls and she had launched a nationwide search for me, making headlines. When she found me, she collapsed into my arms, crying and demanding that I never leave her side again. People said the Sullivan heiress was truly devoted. I believed it too, and her passion had touched me deeply. To repay her love, I, a man with extraordinary abilities, chose to stay by her side instead of returning to my own world. I helped her secure her family's assets and become a true powerhouse in the business world. I even became her personal bodyguard, ready to sacrifice everything for her safety. When I lost my sight, I didn't care. To better protect and care for her, I made a deal with my power source, trading 20 years of my life for the return of my vision. But before I could share this good news with her, I witnessed Gabriel Thompson, her former flame, standing by her side. During the 3 months I was supposedly blind, he had been by Chol's side every day, even daring to swap out my gifts in front of me. What I couldn't understand was why Cully, who saw everything, allowed his behavior. As I pondered this, Cully's best friend Tassix Lewis entered the room. She glanced at me lying in bed and said with a smile, Chloe really loves you. She's rushing me to process the stock transfer she promised you. She carelessly tossed the documents to me, then quickly changed her expression and started communicating with Cully using lip reading, her face full of contempt. Chloe, you are not really going to marry this blind man, are you? One in our circle knows you only pursued him so fervently to make Gabriel jealous and come back to you. Now that Gabriel's back by your side, how long do you plan to keep playing this game? Don't tell me you are planning to string them both along. Chloe's face darkened as she silently mouthed back. What's done is done. I can't change the past. I've genuinely fallen in love with Yut, and he's the only one I'll ever call my husband. Don't you dare bring this up again. If her finds out the truth, your family's days of leeching off us will be over. The Sullivan family's influence was vast, and with my help, Cully had secured control of the family business. Kazi's family was merely riding on the Sorde Stevens' coattails.